Recording in progress.
This time, the board trustees will return to open session. The time is
6:35.
Item 6A, discussion and action to approve a resolution declaring financial exigency. Mr. Renner, if you could do the presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, members of the board, and Superintendent Grill. I am Sylvia Reina, and I am a TEA conservator for this school system. And tonight I bring forth just a little bit of an understanding of what we're asking, or what I think is the explanation here. The definition of financial exigency means that the district is in a financial position that such that the resources are insufficient to support existing academic programs of the district and unable to finance the full compensation of staff for the current succeeding fiscal year. This is part of your legal definition for your policy. And just to give you a little bit of clarification on that, we have found that the funds are not, they don't exist to be able to support the system as it currently exists. So as is the reason that we come forward is to say to you all, perhaps we need to look at what is called declaring a situation of financial exigency, which means here's a case, we need to do something differently. Perhaps that's cut our expenses, perhaps that's looking at personnel, perhaps it's looking at programs, departments, campuses, etc. Why is it that perhaps we need to look at our revenue streams and also what our expenses are? So that's what we're doing. And so we need permission from the board to be able to bring forth recommendations as to how are we going to meet our financial obligations of the school system in a way that supports the school system, knowing that we are student-centered, knowing that we want to be fiscally responsible, and that we want to do the least harm to the school district and still meet our obligations. So financial exigency is literally asking you all for permission to apply to Texas Education Agency to declare the state, because when you declare the state, then it gives us the leeway to be able to make changes to the system, of course with your approval as the board, but to make changes to the system that will reduce costs, increase opportunities for students, and through redistributed funds, and also meet our financial obligations should there be some outstanding obligations that we have, which we do. So I just want to share with you that there is a specific form, and that form is declaring that because our enrollment has decreased by more than 10% over the last 3 years specifically, that has caused for a reduction in the amount of money that is coming into the school system. Therefore, our expenses are higher than what the money is coming into the system. So this is the first step in an overall plan. We've created a step-by-step procedure that we want to follow, such that we're looking at everything very diligently. We're making sure that we are that every single department is efficient, but also remains effective. And that's everyone. Think about every aspect of a school system. School systems are like mini cities in and of itself. We do absolutely everything from feed students to teach students to take care of students in any other way. We are a huge organization in the sense of all the functions that we try to accomplish. Many times we need the support of finances, and they're just not here at Crystal City. So I think that the superintendent and others have gone forward to the community to state what the situation is, and now this is one way that we can start a remediation of the situation. I don't know if there are any specific questions. The process is that you would adopt a resolution tonight that would allow or declare financial exigency, and then after that there are other processes that come into play so that we can in fact get started with our work.
I do have a question, just for clarification. So the final exigency is in relation to the attendance reporting for the past couple of years?
It's related to that because that's one of the options that is provided for us in law. So that's one of the cleanest ways for us to be able to declare financial exigency, but it's also a main source of revenue for the school system. It's not the only source of revenue to a school system, but it is one of the main areas. So we want to be sure that we are exploring opportunities to correct that, but then also look for opportunities we have to cut expenses. And so this is going to, you have to declare that before you start looking at any kind of reduction in personnel or programming or campus changes, et cetera. We have to have that, declaration by the board because that is actually legal policy.
So it's based on an actual drop in enrollment, not a projection, but an actual drop in enrollment.
Thank you.
Anybody have any more questions or anything? It's a recommendation of the district.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve the motion made by Mr. Gray. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Guzmata. All in favor? All against? Discussion?
Any discussion on the motion? Do we have to say the whole motion?
No, this is for 6C. We're just,
Wrong. We just finished A.
we're taking action on item A. 6A. Any discussion? Motion passes 7-0. Item 6B, discussion action to approve the declaration of financial exigency and authorize submission to the Texas Education Agency. It's a recommendation. Is there any presentation, Ms. Rand?
No, it's the formality of it.
Recommendation of the district.
Yes.
Motion?
Motion. Two motion.
No, it's one motion. Motions? Motion made by Mr. Houston, second. Mr. Gables for myself, second. All in favor? All opposed? Discussion, anybody? Motion passes 7-0. Now, item 6A, the posted agenda item number 6C refers to approval and authorization of the superintendent to initiate a reduction in force. At this meeting, the board is considering a preliminary resolution authorizing analysis under district policy and direct administration to return with recommendation at a subsequent meeting. No specific program change, affected employment area, or personnel action is being approved tonight. What's the recommendation for this?
Yes, it's my recommendation. Whoever makes the motion needs to read this entire paragraph.
I move that under the board agenda item number 6C regarding approval and authorization to the superintendent to initiate the reduction in force, the board approve a resolution authorizing the superintendent and or designate to conduct a preliminary analysis under applicable district policies and potential staffing reductions in the light of the board's approval of a separate financial exigency resolution to evaluate potential program changes in any affected program areas, employment areas, or positions, and to return to the board with recommendation for further action, if appropriate, at a subsequent board meeting. The resolution authorizes only a preliminary review and recommendation process and does not approve any specific program change, identify any affected employment area, or authorize any final non-renewal, termination, or adverse personnel action with respect to any individual employee.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Any questions? All in favor? All against? Motion passes 7-0. Now I move on to item 7A. Discussion and action to authorize the superintendent to seek a loan from financial institutions to address operations and financial needs of the school district. for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, so, Mr. Velasquez and I have met with both, on Robert, we met with, both, Zavala County Bank and also with, Prime Bank. The loan with, Zavala is 1.4 million. The tentative conversation with, Prime Bank is 3 million, so that'd be a total of 4.4 million. That should get us through payroll through August, which is the end of our fiscal year. The main thing that we're stressing with our administrators and directors is we've got to stop spending money. So we talked about field trips and activities. So they haven't needed classroom supplies this late in the school year. They don't need classroom supplies. We're 4 weeks away from being at the end of the year. We want to make sure we make payroll. We want to make sure we're paying our bills. Those are our priorities for this end of the year and into the summer. Robert can answer any specific questions you might have about the loans themselves and the terms of the loan.
I'm going to hand something over to you, which is the application letter sent out to both banks. One is a letter to the bank, the other is a letter from the bank to City ISD after reading that, and that is with our Prime Bank.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes. Thank you. Last year, probably about this time, maybe a little later, we entertained the Zavala County Bank for 1.4 million, which the board approved. We made good on that loan. They were eager to entertain us for another, but it wasn't sufficient. It isn't sufficient to meet the obligations the district currently has and these items that Mr. Grill mentioned. So we entertained also Prime Bank, and they were very happy to oblige, and they provided the letter that's on there. The first letter has the letter to the bank and the application we submitted. We did not do an application. We met directly with the CEO of Prime Bank. He came over and responded with the letter that you submitted. Y'all have any questions?
Over on the Zavala County, that's what they.
Yes. We met our obligation. We said we'd finish it by end of February, and we came to.
Now, will this $3 million loan be able to, how far will this get us throughout the year?
Both these documents, these loans are short-term loans. They need to be paid within a 12-month period, which is a short-term loan, which will be paid next year's budget. Will account for those, such as the one that happened this last year. These dollars will bring us right at the threshold of August 30th or 31st. And again, primarily obligation is payroll, the first obligation. And then we've got other obligations as well, such as utilities and things of that nature, just to meet the deadline of the time frame.
I wish to share, I noted that the Prime Bank is asking that we pay back with taxes.
All of them are paid with taxes.
I'm just, I want to know.
These are called tax notes, these are general obligation notes, which are there for our maintenance and operation system. That's how you explain it.
It's not something that we have to advertise or go through a financial.
No, sir.
Okay.
And we've checked that out.
So they're also called tax anticipatory notes, so we're anticipating receiving state tax dollars in August and September. So when we receive those funds from the state, then that's how we make our payments back to the bank. So it's not an actual tax increase or anything like that. This is state funds, which are tax-based monies. Does that make sense?
So we're looking for a total of 4.4 million in loans.
Correct.
Now, be clear on one thing, this does not repay back the 2.7 million plus that we owe in INS, that the district borrowed from INS. So that obligation is still out there.
And Robert, you feel comfortable that we have the collateral to take care of?
The impact will be a solid assignment of these funds plus the cost of financing them, which is your interest and maybe some administrative fees in next year's budget. So by that amount plus the items that I mentioned will reduce the effective budget
Okay.
next year. We did that this last time around with a 1.4. This is higher, but it'll have to do, and as Dr. Reina mentioned, there'll be some adjustments for different areas and many more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me just maybe add to that, too, Robert. So when we build next year's budget, we're not looking at having a balanced budget. We have to have what's called a surplus budget. We have to have in surplus of 4.4 million because we have to add next year's budget. Plus the 2.7 million INS, plus the interest. So we're looking at having to build a much smaller budget to have that much surplus in state and local revenues to make the payments back for these loans through the INS and the interest owed on both, you see. So it's, just want everybody to remember when we bring next year's budget to y'all, it's not a deficit budget like you've been adopting. It's not a balanced budget like you want to adopt. This is a surplus budget. We have to have less money in the budget than we predict we're going to get in revenue. So just keep that in mind when we're having our budget workshop and adopting the budget for next year in August.
When are we gonna start working on the budget? Once you.
As soon as we get this financial agency out of the way, we're starting.
Once we, approve the, costs and all that.
Yes, sir. So late May, early June, we'll be starting. In fact, we're already looking at just doing revenue projections.
Yeah, because I mean, the last couple of years, we've been waiting till the end of August. It was too late, I mean, we gotta start soon, I mean.
Well, we're gonna start here in probably about 4 weeks on actual building. This budget development is gonna be uniquely different because we're building top down instead of bottom up. Usually you start with a zero balance budget process. We started out with $0 and we had the principals working with their staff to build the budget. This time around, we're gonna tell them this is how much you get. Because we have to build with this surplus in mind. It's not an easy task, but it's less complicated to put together because there's not as many people involved in developing the budget. And it's not the way you want to develop budgets in the future, but it is because we're in a survival mode right now.
Does anybody have any more questions? I guess if would you pay it back in the full 12 months, I mean, how much is it looking at the $3 million loan with Prime Bank?
Those are some items we have to discuss with the bank, the terms. The last loan we got on 1.4 was ballpark under $60,000 in interest and fees.
You know what I mean, Wall Street Journal time?
That's the standard rate that's going on that you see in the news. They add, usually the banks borrow from the feds and they add a slight increase for themselves. Cost of doing business. We will know that fluctuates depending on the time that we go and what the market is looking like. Pretty much like the price of gas.
We don't know the interest rate, right?
Correct.
And I'm just gonna predict the interest rate's gonna be higher just because of our financial rating. We'll probably pay a higher interest rate on the loan. So we just need to be prepared for that fact too, because we have an F rating on our finances.
No other questions? Thank you, Robert.
This time, recommendation of districts.
Yes, I'm seeking your approval and your interest.
We have a motion?
I move to authorize the superintendent to seek a loan from financial institutions for their operation and financial needs of the school district for 25-26.
Motion made by Mr. Mata, second by Mr. Gabriel Espinosa. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8, adjournment. Do you have a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Mr. Mata, seconded by Mr. Mata. All in favor? All against? Motion passes 7-0.
Minus 55.